Nipslet.
Did we get you? Did we all get you? We're not lagging. We're here. Well, we did kind of lag, but not like visually lag.
How are
I
you
mean,
doing, sir?
oh, bro, like, doesn't it? If you didn't know me, wouldn't it look like I just got back from a fucking bender last night?
Yes.
Like a whole ass harem in a suite, Vegas hangover style. Had every fucking bottle delivered to my room. Woke up in a bathrobe. You know what my problem is instead?
What?
My face is getting fucked by pollen.
So let me just say something to you, Pierre, because we have English followers. A bender in English can also mean a homosexual.
Really?
So he said, I just got
It
back from a
goes
bender and I got fucked in the face.
it goes both ways, man. I could also look
You
like I
go
went
both
that
ways.
route.
That's what fucking goes both ways.
Yeah, I mean, if Mother Nature was also or transitioned into a man, then I don't take my words back. That's exactly what happened. Dude, the
Mother
fucking
Nature,
allergies,
she identifies as a man when she pokes you in the face. So,
dude.
well, that means the weather must be improving in Prague, though.
Oh yeah, it's great. The weather's amazing, and my
Good.
naive self was like, "What a great, warm, wonderful 21-degree day! Can't wait to." I even had the intention to be like, you know what? I'm gonna film a YouTube video outside. And I'm just like, I can't even open my fucking eyes. I can't breathe, bro.
And then the god Pan gripped you by the ears and shoved his nature dong into your allergy system.
Can you imagine, man? Like allergies is being allergic to tree cum floating around in the sky.
Getting into your eyes.
Dude, I should have been
Tree cum.
taken out in nature when I was 3. Like I never got outside enough when I was younger, so my body just reacts terribly to it.
Not very Spartan of you, Pierre.
It sucks, man, because like in my head, I'm like, oh, I'm like improving, I'm working out, killing zombies, I'm fucking unstoppable. And
Yeah.
then reality hits. I can't do shit because like of tiny
And then
little
the
particles that come from leaves.
because you're getting bukkakied by nature.
That's how it feels, man. It's not fun. I'm not into that.
Speaking of bukkaking, I must undress because I have to do this thing in the car and it's hot. One
Okay.
second. Can you
Well,
still hear me?
yeah, like so what have you been up to, man? What's new with you?
Lots of gym, loads of gym, and I'm making a new course on overcoming narcissistic abuse. I'm working on that. Um, and I've got a new podcast where I'm interviewing people called Richard Grannon and Friends, which is going to be released shortly. So work and gym, and the book is nearly done, which is great. Really happy about that. We're weeks away from that being released. So
Nice.
yeah, that's been it. Plus, I'm
You're on
doing that door
fire.
work thing, as you know about. Huh?
Oh shit, you're on fire, man. That's great.
Yes.
So how's that door work? Is it grounding you? Is it fun?
Yes, it is now. It is now fun. Things have settled down. I've settled down. I've sort of settled back into it and got back into the groove of just doing what it is. It's nice to have like an old skill set come back.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of stuff that I do on autopilot that I don't know is there, which if you have to figure out for the first time is quite stressful. Like you have a group of guys, they're not fighting, but they're play fighting, but they're doing it on the dance floor. And you'd think, well, what point do I intervene? And when I intervene, what tone do I use and what do I say? I could just sit back and I just let it just happens. I know what to do. I know how to speak to them, and I'm like, oh yeah, yeah, that's like an old thing I used to do all the time. And so it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. I'm enjoying it.
Is it fun?
It yes, it has moments where it's fun. It's nice to be part of a team where you're doing something that is immediate because you're not just teaming with the other security staff. You're teaming with the hosts.
Hmm.
the waitresses, the bar staff, the glassies, everybody, to make sure that the club is making as much money as it can and that
Okay.
everybody's having a fun time and a safe night.
Yeah, yeah. So, like, are you getting that thing, that quota fulfilled? Because initially you were kind of looking for something similar to that, right? Like, is this amounting to what you expected, and are you going to stay in it?
Um, in some ways, it has exceeded what I expected.
Really?
Um, yeah, because I was just looking for a bit of grounding and just like basically, you know, ha having to do something. Because I've been, you know, like, there's no polite way of saying it. I have had money enough to not need to work for probably a good 8 years, or not work really hard because of the business and the way. Well, there's a couple of business interests that I have, but they've figured out, like, really, by the time I was 30, 37, 38, I just didn't need to work that hard. It's nice to be forced to. It's nice to be told you have to go and stand in this place and talk to these fucking idiots until your back hurts, your head is numb, and you feel like you want to throw up. Just shit work. It's sort of, nice isn't the right word. It's not just grounding. It's sort of, it, it is empowering to want to. I can't think of a better adjective than that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, what a weird position to be in because I'm getting a taste of a similar situation too. And a part of, I don't know if it's an ego related thing or just like sheer logic based thing. Because I've spent the last 5 years, maybe even the same eight, considering that like I was broke 8 years ago, and I've been really trying to get some fucking hustle cemented to escape the practical physical labor of like folding jeans and doing some stupid real life work that felt meaningless. And now that I've gotten to a point where I don't need that, it's kind of redundant to be like, "Ah, I'm not going to let myself purposefully go back into this thing because it doesn't make sense to." You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah. But sometimes you just have to, for your own sanity's sake.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense. So all my friends are like, "You're completely fucking crazy." Well, most of my friends are. Some people from here, they understand why I'm doing it. Um, but you have to just be thrown out of the comfort zone sometimes. And I really think, the internet plus wealth plus isolation is just a recipe for fucking sickness. I wouldn't
Yeah.
imagine, if I had a
Yeah.
client like that, I wouldn't expect them to be happy.
Maybe this is the underlying meta topic of what we're trying to like kind of reach here, because
Yeah,
this is the first time when we're allowed, or not even allowed, where it's even possible to have a lifestyle or a situation where you can actually make more money and more, you can actually have your life set up more where you don't have to collaborate with others and you can be isolated within that, and you can even get this weird semblance of a community or team without actually doing it as well.
yeah,
Where before there was literally no other option where you were able to function, whether financially, community wise, or just live out a life. And you had to be around others and do things in real life.
yes, yeah. I think, well, that was why I called it like put Jung and Nietzsche in the title. So broadly speaking, these two men, if you take like a broad view of what they were talking about, Jung was very much about individuation, like breaking free from the ties of the unconscious and unconscious patterns of behavior. But so was Nietzsche too. I mean, if you look at Beyond Good and Evil and Thus Spake Zarathustra, it's a different emphasis, but he's very much for the individual escaping from mass consciousness, or the consciousness of the mass man, the mass person, which kind of has this dragging effect on an individual. And I think, you know, obviously the Ubermensch, the Overman idea has become controversialized because of the association with the Nazis. But the idea for that wasn't that we were to be the next stage in evolution. We, the people who are alive today, were supposed to be the bridge to something. We were supposed to give ourselves up for something better in the future. So there's a similarity between them thematically, between like the Jungian direction, the Jungian theme of everything he said throughout his whole life, and the Nietzschean theme as well. I think Jung was massively inspired by Nietzsche.
Okay, okay. I think there's some audio leveling, so I'm gonna turn my voice down, and hopefully Richard's voice is higher. If you've seen a few comments already by now, but
Is my voice dropping?
yeah, I think there's like an audio leveling thing. Maybe you're lower on other people's things. Anyways, uh, yes, 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 and I think this is the wrench in the gears that any new age philosophy, some, I don't know, existential philosophy, or any type of worldview shifting ideology didn't expect at all. This
Yeah,
instantaneous connection and plus opportunity and practical results of the digital space. I mean,
yeah.
did Buddha know that this would be a thing? Did Jesus expect that this would be a thing? There are timeless principles behind those things, but they're very they do not take in consideration the practical application of the digital thing in everyday life.
Well, yeah, I think it would be very hard, even for like the greatest thinkers, the greatest prophets of human history, to predict how very strange a place we're in now. I mean, maybe McKenna, but McKenna, that like he was alive not that long ago, and he was predicting that it would just become stranger and stranger and more complex. What did he call that? What
Singularity.
did he call? There was the singularity, but there was another term that he also used for complexity. That um, singularity
Novelty.
was one.
Novelty?
Novelty. Yes, novelty. Um, and he's right. I'm reading Asimov's Foundation at the moment. I'm only a quarter of the way through the book. There's another thinker, but this is written in like 1960, 1959. So it's not, they're still in the modern world. They're still in the world of commercial air flight and machine guns and television and film. So it's not that big of a leap, but we are in a very strange place as far as just the number of people here and how complex our lives are, and become more and more complex every single day.
Yes.
And it's hard to even really predict what effect that can have on the human mind, I think, at this point.
Yeah, I think Terence McKenna's endless novelty or singularity theory was intentionally vague because I mean it can be applied to a lot of things, but I think he knew the silliness of how crazy it would be that you couldn't actually describe it because even if we're in that time now, I think we are. How do
Mm,
we describe what's happening now in a few sentences without making it really ambiguous, crazy, and vague as well? Like we're in it, but we can't
yeah.
describe how insane, weird, and complex things are at the same time.
Yes. 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 And how wonderful and how strange and how bewildering and how awe-inspiring, and then how the most awe-inspiring magical things just become pedestrian and boring and irritating. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
like flying is boring and it's plastic and ship food and long queues, and
Yeah.
but you're flying through the air and you don't die. It lands safely. What right do we have to think that that's, oh, I'm just going to fly to the Dominican Republic? What, across an ocean? Yes, a literal fucking ocean. What are you going to do? I'm going to eat peanuts and watch a film.
Yeah, I'm gonna be booking my entrance on
Yeah,
this Black Mirror. Go
yeah,
to the actual machine that stays in the air for 8 hours,
yeah,
watching a film, and God knows
yeah,
how that film was made, and then pop up in real time on the other side of the world, where someone picks me up through this thing.
yeah.
Who could have ever predicted that in the span
It's
of
just,
like what 30 years?
well, and if you tried to, it would be like, oh, this is an amazing idea for science fiction, but it will never be like this. And if it was like this, humans would just be walking around in a state of ecstasy and wonder, and everything would be amazing. And you're like, well, no, that hasn't happened.
Yes.
hasn't happened. I think, like you mentioned Buddha before, probably of any system of thought where if you wanted to explain what modern life is like, Buddhism probably is the only one that would have the infrastructure, the words and the models for it. And it's like what you could say is the projections of our mind, the projections of our ego have actually become real, and they're
Yeah.
accessible to other people, and we can interlock our egoic projections and actually make new egoic projections and have commerce off the back of those. And probably somebody who's deep into Buddhism would probably be like, okay, sounds pretty weird, but I kind of get what you're talking about. Don't know how that would work, but okay, I get you. I get you.
That makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, this digital space has solidified an illusion that was supposed to just stay as an illusion. But you
Yeah,
can't deny, and no, you can't even fight the fact that this illusion is more real than anything else. Like you have
yeah,
to solidify an online persona if you want to get certain things done, or if you choose to end up on the online space just by the mere fact of uploading an avatar and creating a screen name. That literally is the entry fee to being online, which is creating an alternative identity.
100%. And if you think about it, even pre-internet, a lot of our society has become that way. I mean, you have to have an avatar of yourself to exist legally in the West. You have to have,
Yeah,
uh, well, what do we call them? You guys have a national security number, right? Or a national identity number,
something like that. Yeah,
something like that. We have the same thing. I can't. It's like maybe our national insurance number. You have a birth certificate number, a passport number. You have to exist as a legal entity. You can't just exist as a flesh and blood person, because if you do, you can't get bank accounts, you can't get credit cards, you can't get a mortgage, you can't. So there's already this sort of at an avatarizing of everybody,
yeah,
whether you want to be involved online or not. There's the move towards the symbolic, to
yeah,
go from the real to the symbolic is there. I mean, imagine what it would be like if you were truly off grid, truly, no name, no social security number, no passport, you're not registered anywhere. And there will be people, certainly, for sure, there's people in America who live like that, for sure. I imagine there's probably people on reservations who've never been registered. They exist on no legal register or no government
mm,
register anywhere, and they maybe can live. Not saying it's a good thing or a bad thing, but they could live a whole life like that. It's it makes sense that we've done this. It's functional. It does make sense, but I don't think we saw the cost when we
yeah.
started the endeavor, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I mean, even on a social level, especially if you're younger, you come up and you say, "I have no social media at all." You'd be like,
Yeah,
"This fucking serial killer here."
yeah, yeah,
You announce that, and people want to find you, or just like, "Hey, where do you work? Or what's your Facebook? What is this? How can I contact you?" And you're like, "You can't." They're like, "Okay, so what are you hiding? Like what?
yeah.
What dirty little
How
secret?"
many have you killed? When will you kill again?
Yeah, exactly. Like even You you were at least expected to have a lurkers account, on a
Yeah,
YouTube channel, like, you just use it
yeah,
to watch things, and if you don't have that, then it's really suspicious.
yeah, yeah. It's and I'm the same way. I'm not above this. Like, I have met
Yeah,
people who don't have social media accounts, and I'm like, wow, that's weird. And I've even noticed how unconsciously I reflect on the ways in which that person doesn't quite exist properly. That's
yeah,
my instinct. It's not a conscious judgment. It's
yeah,
like an instinctive unconscious response, which is this person doesn't quite exist fully in the
yeah,
world. Yeah, they do actually. They have lungs, they have a brain, they're existing just fine just because they don't have an Instagram. But I'm conditioned
right.
to think that way as well.
Yeah, yeah, same here, and, I've met people, rightly so, and I admire them for it, for not knowing what cancel culture is.
Yeah,
I've talked to them, like, "What is that? Wait, what?" Like, "You don't know?" I'm like, "Okay, good." Like, I hope you don't find out, but it is very
yeah,
jarring when I hear that, and, it's a but yeah, I think I'm in the same position here where I do feel like they are missing out on a huge percentage of reality if they're not semi tuned into the certain occurrences that you only really find online.
Yes. Yeah, there are um there is a shared reality now. I mean, you can talk memes to people. You can talk about so many things to people if you're in that shared online space. Um, I think one of the things that I found with doing the nightclub security again that got me thinking about Jung and got me thinking about Nietzsche again was by contrast, because it's not the online space, it's the real space. You can get hit, you can fall over, or there are real consequences, and it's immediate. And in that contrast, I really have been reflecting on, the online space really is not pH neutral. It's
Mm,
really not pH neutral. It's really quite a dark space.
mm,
It's really not good for people. It really doesn't encourage the best in people. And, people will obviously say, well, then clean it up. And I'm like, it doesn't matter. It's not a good evolutionary match. We're not evolved for sitting around. Like, because you have to sit still to go into an online space. You have to escape or willfully leave this reality and enter another reality, like through your phone, through a screen. You put VR goggles on, so you're putting your conscious attention on that which is not.
mm.
When I'm doing security work, even if it's boring, I still so I have to use present moment awareness all the time. I'm constantly trying to go back to Zen mode. If I'm very bored and I start looking at my watch, I'm like, go into the moment, because in the moment you won't be tortured by time. If there's danger and there's violence, I have to go in the moment, because it's the only way that I'll be safe, is by being fully present in the moment and completely switched on. And you're never in the moment online. You're completely out of the moment online. It's fracturing. I believe I'm becoming more of a hard line with this stuff the more of the nighttime work that I'm doing.
Yeah, yeah. The just the initial medium that this stuff works on, it naturally takes you out of the moment. It naturally shifts you outside of your body. It naturally makes you think and talk about things that aren't immediate. It makes you look at your own body image and other people's body image through in a projection, in a pedestalized projection of what humans should look like. It's a very mentally sickening medium just through
Yeah,
the inherent format of the thing. I actually just watched the first Matrix for the first time in a long time, and I've been revisiting things that I saw when I was like 20, and I was confused, but I thought it looked cool. And then
yeah,
now I'm like, okay, I pretty much got a lot of the references and what they were alluding to the during the whole thing, and we are literally in the Matrix, man.
yeah, yeah. I I was the Matrix this new narcissistic abuse course that I'm doing. The Matrix came up a number of times because in many ways it's a metaphor for a kind of narcissistic abuse through hijacking of consciousness. And it's an easy way of describing the narcissistically abusive relationship. Interesting that Jada Pinkett Smith was in the Matrix as a
Oh,
narcissistic
yeah.
abuser.
The
Yeah,
second
Jada's
one,
in
no?
there.
Or she's in the first one?
Second one, number
Yeah,
two,
yeah,
number
yeah.
two.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
she's the general. Um, and one of the things that I was reflecting on when I was talking about it for this new course was, when we see our heroes doing heroic shit and we're behind them and we're really hoping they win, they're not doing anything. It's quite a sick movie. It's a really strange movie, because I can't think of another movie where you're like backing your team. You really, really want the heroes to win, but they ain't doing shit. It's a computer game they're playing. They're in a simulation.
Mhm,
They're actually in some shitty tub somewhere with a thing in the back of their head. But
mhm,
what we see on the screen is them doing kung fu and jumping around the
mhm,
place.
mhm,
But
mhm,
they physically can't do that because they've been in a pod their whole lives and they're
mhm.
weak as shit.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
But you just, it's like a Christopher Nolan switcheroo. You just kind of go, "Duh, duh, 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 duh. Just let me enjoy the kung fu scene. Just let me
Yeah,
enjoy the
yeah.
fight scene." But actually, nobody's fighting. Nobody's fighting in them. It's quite sick.
If you don't count the spider robot, the
Right.
scenes, those are the
Yes,
only ones that kind of
that's real.
ground it. But
Yeah,
yeah, so I watched that, and that particular uh how you say, that particular motif of, they're only fighting in the video game and it's not really a thing. I have seen that in comparison to where I'm at currently, where I'm making more science fiction films or whatever, and it is the only response that I can think about and do within the simulacra that I think we all live in at the moment, because of the format of the internet already being illusory and
yeah,
fighting an illusory thing. The only logical way to do it is within a simulated version of it on a simulated medium. You know what I mean?
yes, yes,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. I think the theme of your so I look at your recent videos that you've come out with, and like the aesthetic that's there, and it's it's an aesthetic that's making a resurgence. The cyberpunk thing, the William Gibson sci-fi dystopia thing, and I'm like, why is that? Because it's pleasing. I consume your videos and it's pleasing. It's aesthetically pleasing. And I'm like, but why? Why does it resonate? Why does this fucking resonate? Why are we going? There's something about the 90s, the late 90s, the big emergence of the internet. The style is kind of goofy. Like in
Yes.
the
Yeah.
Matrix, they're walking around
Yeah.
with these
Yeah.
fucking and they're
Yeah, it's
black,
so over
which
the top and silly. I showed
it's
somebody that didn't grow up with not crazy action films. She didn't like it.
yeah,
She
no,
was like,
no.
"This is like really fucking corny at times."
Yeah, it is. It's corny as fuck.
Yeah, yeah.
But there's something there's a resonant but I think now the corniness is part of the aesthetic now.
Yes, it is. Yes.
And I'm like, but why? And I think it reflects a kind of naivety, a nostalgia for a naive moment. There's a they all look ridiculous and it's all super cool and whatever, but there's an optimism there. There's still an optimism in that time.
Yes.
There's almost like a one of the underlying messages of the Matrix is this could be the way we overthrow the psychological tyranny that we're in.
Right.
It doesn't say it, but it sort of says the implication is through technology, we could overthrow this psychological tyranny. 20 years later, through technology, the psychological tyranny is going to get worse in ways you could never have fucking dreamed of, kids.
Yes. Yes. Because it's not about like, because the philosophical part is that it's not literally about shooting the Agent Smith, because that doesn't do fucking anything. That's a
Yeah,
code. That's not
yeah,
there.
yeah,
But visually it plays out like that. But it's about
yes,
mentally and philosophically overcoming the attachment to that. And it only can be played out visually through this medium.
yes, yes. I just thought of it then, keeping with the Jungian theme in dream analysis. Gunshots and bullets are harsh words.
Okay.
So if you're hit with a bullet in a dream, it's because somebody said something to you and it hurt you, which is what the internet space is largely fueled by. So shots are fired all the time. We live the matrix all the time. In terms of dream analysis, in terms of the dream, every harsh word, like Twitter, I guess, is like a fucking ammunition store. They're the arms dealers. That's really where it's all going down. That's where the bullets are really, really flying. But
Totally. Yeah. I mean, there's a reason why I decided to use this shocker device within my short film as a visual physical metaphor for what it's like to be programmed by social media content and algorithms,
yeah,
because it makes me feel less crazy when I could play it out
yes,
in a visual physical form as opposed to just letting it happen, because it's all ambiguous, but it does actually have a real effect if you spend too
yeah,
much time on it like I do.
yeah, yeah. It's it's we're in well, we're definitely in uncharted territory. Well, for sure we're in uncharted territory, but maybe what we're craving for, like the William Gibson cyberpunk novels and the Matrix, and that is that optimism, is that actually through the tech there could be some salvation, which is
Yes.
literally there in the Matrix. They find salvation, they find redemption. Neo is born again, they find Zion, they find their people, they rebel, there's an uprising. It's biblical in its scope. Somewhere in the last 20 years we lost that unconscious optimism, that sense of like a rebellion and a war that could be fought. And maybe that's what we're craving. And so even though
Yeah.
it's goofy as fuck,
Yeah.
we still like it.
I'm curious on why there isn't more sci-fi around now. It's like we literally live in a science fiction film now, and I'm surprised that there aren't many things to reflect this time period through science fiction and technology. And like I'm hearing you about like the over the top absurdist stylistic uh delivery that these 90s action films, 'cause I still like my top favorite films are so ridiculous. They're like Fifth Element, they
Yeah,
are like The Matrix. I even liked Hackers, dude. Like
yeah,
fucking this like overly stylistic with practical effects, and there is that hopefulness in the
yeah,
absurdity of the stylization of everything because you really have to suspend your belief. Like you really have to just like, okay, this is fucking weird. I'm letting go and just letting the absurdity of this just take me on the ride, you know?
yes. Yeah, definitely. I think the willful suspension of disbelief is there because in good faith there is still that optimism. Or sorry, you there was that optimism. There was in that time. I think the reason why sci-fi isn't being made now is described by Charlie Brooker, the English guy who writes Black Mirror. He
Mm,
doesn't want to release the new Black Mirror series because he thinks that people just won't have a stomach for it. We're
yeah.
so deep into a Black Mirror episode, and we have been since February 2020, that we can't tolerate more of it.
Yeah, yeah. I'm thinking he should just release it anyway because I mean, how much worse can it be, you know? And I think he really hits it on the head and all of these scenarios that he paints with Black Mirror. It's so hard to fucking watch sometimes, and I love it because it's so practical.
Yes, yes. I mean, he's brilliant. Charlie Brooker is a brilliant writer and a tremendous comedian as well. He's a very very funny
Oh, I
guy,
didn't know
Charlie.
that. I didn't know he did comedy.
Yeah, if you're ever stuck for something to watch, look up on YouTube. Charlie Brooker's Screen Wipe, and he
Mm,
reviews like TV shows and movies. He's brilliantly funny. He's so funny. I mean, you think with Black Mirror, you'd think, oh, he must be quite a dark and sinister dude. He's a jester. He's a really really funny English chap, just with a taste for horror, sci-fi horror as well. But I think that what you're talking to speaks to the whole moment, which is like, well, why aren't they making sci-fi movies? I feel my sense is that nobody knows what the fuck to do now. Nobody knows what movies to make, what music to make. No, there's like this kind of a collective PTSD freezing, where we're all a bit like, well, what do you? I mean, I'm the same way. I'm still releasing the book because it's been 3 years in the planning, but I don't know what YouTube videos to make. Am I
mhm,
going to talk about Ukraine? No. Am I going to
mhm,
talk about the
mhm,
COVID?
mhm.
No.
Yep.
Can't. I'm like, I'm a bit wary of just making content for the sake of making more content because I'm actually really concerned with the effect that content has on people
Yeah,
now. I'm like,
yeah,
what do
sure,
you,
sure.
what do you do? What do you do?
Totally, totally. I mean, you've seen my crisis with what do I do next artistically, and what other content do people really need to see? Am I spreading the word about what now? What is the
Yeah.
actual effect of spreading the fucking word now? You know?
Yes.
And
Yeah.
I still don't really have a conclusion. So during this last year, especially the last few months here, you were a huge help in trying to not tell me, but show me what a possible action could be through completely isolating a possible external response. What would I need to make to psychologically stabilize myself?
Right.
Purely. That just not for reception, not to save the world, not to spread another hashtag. Like, what is the actual thing that would make just for me, like a personal thing to stabilize and reflect what's going on. And then eventually
Yeah.
that came to the conclusion of the latest project I have with these films. I'm not trying to like do any of the things that I just named earlier here, but I
Yeah.
think that could be a possible choice for people to really make. You know, the short film was my route here, but what's the other activities that other people need if there was no other feedback around you, that what would stabilize you?
Yes. Yeah. It's it, it's a tough one. I vacillate now. So it used to be weekly, now it's daily. I'll go to bed and I'll think, listen, dude, just don't worry. Like, make people laugh, educate them a little bit, and that's enough. It's okay. And then I wake up in the morning and I'm like, that's just not responsible. That's just not okay.
Yeah.
And it's daily. I'll go to sleep. I'll be like, just fucking make people feel better, teach them a few things where they live their lives, and just get them following, and don't fucking worry about it. And then in the morning, I'm like, I can't just do that. That's not right.
Right, right. Yeah. I'm planning my own course, which is a YouTube based how to start your channel properly. And I obviously I've had a love more hate relationship with social media and YouTube as well. But here I am developing a skill set over the last 8 years that I've fucking mastered. And there are people that do need marketing knowledge to share their candle making business, whatever else. But at the same time, I could be breeding the next fucking hashtag movement that gets me canceled.
So just as a synchronicity of life, I just spoke to one of the representatives at Rumble, 45 minutes ago.
Wow.
They yeah, they've been messaging me, and the person who reads my emails has been ignoring their messages. This is the same person who read the emails from people who made an HBO series and didn't hand them on to me. You know about this is how why I was in Prague for the documentary. I was like, if anybody who's made an HBO series emails me again, you you could go ahead and forward me that, that one. So I spoke to Rumble. They have Rumble, and they have something called Locals, and it's completely censorship free. They assured me multiple times it is totally censorship free. It's algorithm free. That's not, they don't take people's data, they don't sell data, they don't do any of that. So I think for me, I could make fluff, not fluff, but stuff that isn't really me on YouTube. And then I could talk about what I actually want to talk about in an environment where people are willfully going there to hear that. And the stuff that is a little bit got more of an edge to it, it can be kept on locals and could be like available for like $5 a month, or something like that. And that means that it's a terrible thing to be put in a position where you can tell the truth, but you have to cut out 30 or 40% of it, or code it. It's not nice. It's not psychologically healthy to do that.
Of course, of course. And the how do you say, the not so happy consequence of that is that that platform will have to begin for how knows who knows how long for you, that as a personal endeavor. That is
Yeah.
not necessarily the smartest, most practical business endeavor, because it's going to be a very within a niche thing for niche people to hear a niche thing where you're going to nichely say, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? So maybe eventually it'll evolve, but in the meantime, it begins as a personal, psychologically stabilizing activity for you and the niche people looking for that. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yes. And I would say this for people who hear that and think that it's um, a little bit of a overly nuanced point. Broadly speaking, I think humans fall into two categories. You either really think truth is very important, essential, like it vibrates at some higher frequency and it has intrinsically redemptive qualities to it. Like,
Yeah.
do you literally believe that when John said, and the truth shall set you free, or you don't? You just don't. You're in another category, and you're just like, truth is relative. Your truth, my truth, their truth, blah blah blah, and
Yeah.
it's nothing. If you're in the camp that sees truth as almost like a religious, spiritual power, this issue is fucking critical. If you don't, You don't have to worry about this issue at all. Just do your thing and make your money and get on with your life, man.
Yeah, totally. And I've tried to do that. I've really, really
Well,
tried to
we
lead.
both have.
Yeah, and it's a pain in the ass. And the other pain in the ass is trying to figure out what to do with everything when you are more within the first camp here. And yeah, I've been trying to make my compromises, which was it's been a very, very difficult struggle, but hopefully it's becoming something a bit more like the answer, I guess.
Well, you call them compromises, but you've been cutting off pieces of yourself.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Fuck,
The-
man.
So these like a compromise. That's a very it was a very British understatement of you to say I've been making compromises. You're cutting off pieces of yourself that are intrinsic to your personality and intrinsic to how you function in the world. None of us can do that. Nobody can afford to do that. That's not living. That really is slavery. It's a kind of psychological slavery, which is what YouTube is corralling people into. It's what mainstream culture is corralling people into, a psychological slavery. You may not speak. You can barely think. Like the younger generations, people younger than me, don't even let themselves think the thoughts. At least for me, I'm allowed to think, but I can't speak. I can't say it. It's miserable. It's absolutely fucking miserable. It's an anti-life. I think we're in the grip of a cult, a mass psychosis, and it's an anti-life cult. It's an anti-life mass psychosis that we're in the grip of, for multiple reasons. One of them is the gaping maw of complexity, the yawning void of complexity that reaches out into infinity that people are looking at, and some people just can't hack it because they never took psychedelics, man.
Yeah. Yeah. Really. I
Something
mean,
like that. Something
I've
like that.
I've actually been reflecting on that, and I'm like, God damn, maybe I shouldn't have taken that severe amount of shrooms when I was a certain age. I mean, god damn, I could have just literally got my million subscribers doing some makeup palette and then checked out, like that's it.
Think of somebody who never took psychedelics, who never left the village. They never left the tribe. They never walked over the mountain to the other side where the tigers are. And they're living this normal life. They're paying their mortgage. They want to get married. They want to have kids. They want a normal IKEA catalog life. And then all this fucking shit breaks out around them. Imagine how tight your anus would be, how
Oh, that's
stiff
true.
you would get,
Yeah. That's a really good way to look at it. Yeah. I
right?
mean, yeah, 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 that would actually really groundly explains hysteria for an individual that values what you just proposed.
Yeah, yeah. And all you would want, what they're basically saying is behind the aggression, behind the passive aggression, behind the defamation, the cancellation, what they're saying is this frightens me, please stop. You're
Yes.
terrifying me. For the love of
Yeah,
God,
okay,
please leave me be.
that explains a lot. Okay, so you and I have led some pretty extreme lives in one way or another, right? And you're still alive and I am. Some people die. That's what happens. But most people, you do something unknown, you do something a little risky, whether it be a little bit of skateboarding or go sailing out in the Bahamas, whatever, and go cliff diving. Most people end up okay. And you
Yeah,
begin to develop a understanding of risk. And yes, there are real risks and real dangers, but majority of the time, you take the risk, you'll end up okay. You might end up a little emotionally troubled here and there, a few bruises, scrapes, maybe a broken thing at most, but you end up okay and you can continue moving on. To the average person that has never done any of those things and all this shit breaks out around them, I can only imagine the hysteria that they would be going through mentally.
it's torture for them. It's absolute fucking torture for them. The Academy of Ideas YouTube channel, which is bombing right now, which is really interesting to me.
Really?
Yeah, their view count is way down, way down, and we all fucking know
Yeah.
most likely what the reason is for that. So their last video released was like two 200,000 views. It should be triple that after or more, or maybe quintuple that. And it was on safetyism. Jonathan Haidt. They don't mention Jonathan Haidt, but they talk about the culture of safetyism and a massive. massive phobic, hysterical response to risk. We are so goddamn risk averse now. We're
Yeah.
so preposterously piss weak scared of jumping at our own fucking shadows. Of course, people become hysterical when they go into that mental space because they think
Mm,
everything that is outside their front door is going to either kidnap their children or give them AIDS and kill
right.
them.
Because you would have to have a super naive view of the world where you say this word, you think this way, you're a Nazi. Like, that is a huge leap to be making, but in a very coddled, in a very bubbled world, that's all you know.
Yes. I was reported for white supremacy on Instagram recently
For what?
because I said that men and women are different and because I keep referencing Jung and Nietzsche. So, if a white guy says men and women are different and Jung and Nietzsche had something to say, that white man is probably a Nazi and probably a white supremacist.
Hmm.
It's just logic. Yeah, it's just logic, just reasoning.
Yeah, that's why I am making it through visual metaphors. You're going straight forward. I'm like, let me just like loop around this real quick, you know?
Heterosexuality is good. Yes. You know who also believe that? Himmler, you Nazi.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, no, I'm thinking about what you said earlier, and the hysteria makes a lot more sense considering this is definitely one of the safest times in modern history. And anybody that spends more than 2 hours online are living a fairly safe life if you can afford that much time to be on the internet. So with those two factors combined, not being used to risk or actual dangers or actual violence, you would have the majority be very, very overly cautious for anything that differs outside of their bubble.
Yes. Yes. That's a kind of Terence McKenna again. You're either a neophile, you love the new, or you're a neophobe. You hate the new, and new things, different things, can be very, very disturbing to certain personality types and to certain people with a certain level of experience or lack of experience of the world. It's easy. Human beings are very, very fragile. Are very, very, very fragile. It's very easy to make people feel threatened. You have to actually work quite hard. I know that you do, the same as I do. You have to work quite hard to make people not feel threatened by you just showing up and saying, "Hi, how you doing?"
Hmm.
Because they're
Yes,
fragile. They're super, super vulnerable. Everybody's super, super fragile, super vulnerable because they didn't take psychedelics.
that's right. That's right. I mean, what a way to under prepare an entire culture for a crisis. Like, good lord.
Yeah.
Talk about a situation where you bring up kids through school and culturally there are no ways to practically learn how to deal with the adversities of life or actual survival danger, and then like just live half of your life in this cocoon, and then all of a sudden the sun gets too hot.
Yeah.
It's like, what, how do I deal with this?
Yeah. Yeah. It's that, and that's when I said in other Tentacle Quest on podcasts, this decade from 2020 to 2030 is going to be defined by a series of existential threats: coronavirus,
Mhm.
potential nuclear war with Russia. It's not that they're going to be real. It's not that they're going to be real existential crises. Some of them will be. It's going to be that we're going to perceive every single thing that happens as an existential threat because that is how fraught we collectively, not the good people watching this, but humanity collectively has become. We've become enormously fragile, enormously frightened, and enormously non-robust, non-resilient. We don't trust ourselves to cope with anything now. There's no sense of like, there's a book called Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway. It's a great book. And there's a mantra in the book, which is, whatever happens, I'll deal with it. Everybody should be repeating that mantra. Whatever happens, I'll deal with it. You don't have to fix global problems. You're not the globe. You're one person. Just look with it. Like, what's the problem right in front of you today, now? Can you deal with that? You're doing fine, kid. You're doing fine. You made your bed, you put clean socks on. It's enough. It's enough.
Yes, yes, yes. Yeah, I mean, this is a cliche of like a thing that you hear these days, and but I'm gonna repeat it anyways. Is just the lack of real adversity in anybody's lives, and
Yes.
there is a constant seeking for it. Meanwhile, not. It's weird. It's a constant seeking for adversity while proposing the the idea that I'm not strong enough to deal with it. So there's like a yearning for all of these problems, but no one will overtly say that they can deal with it.
So we're en masse seeing humanity at its worst. So we, again, I'm saying we collectively, humanity, are kind of, certainly in the West, becoming cry bullies. We're bullying cowards. Nietzsche wrote about this in Thus Spake Zarathustra. There's a passage called Fleas. It's called Fleas. And there's another one called Tarantulas. And he's talking about, he saw that. He saw into the future and he could see the weak, fake, virtuous people who would coerce and bully others with their weakness and their false virtue. But that's what you're looking at. Yes, there's a fear of adversity. So it's something like this. I know I'm a piece of shit in my heart, in my soul. I know inside me, I'm not stupid. I know I'm a coward. I know I'm a hypocrite. I know my words don't match my actions. But if I can go online and I can talk tough online and I can tell somebody off and I can be like, that's offensive. You don't let's cancel them. I can kind of make these compensatory gestures that help the sense of shame I feel for what a piece of shit I am go down a little. And when I get a little taste and I go, oh, it went down a little, I had to just literally destroy somebody's life and it went down a little bit. It's addictive. And then you're in a cycle. And then there's huge collectives of people just like you doing the same shit thing. And you start to think that that's a real way to live. You think that you're on some collective mission. You think that it's actually a legitimate movement. You look at each other, you'll stroke each other's egos and go, they're bad, aren't they? Yeah. We're brave, aren't we? Yeah, we're brave. We're brave. We're doing the brave thing. That's how it goes. We're seeing humanity at a really, really low ebb here. Really nasty, really low ebb. With all the power we've been given, this is what we've done with it. It's pretty ugly.
So I think this is another result of something else as well as the other things that we've already mentioned, but the lack of a real journey, the lack of a real adversity overcoming journey, and how that's being skewed in all of these micro groups into missions that aren't exactly missions. And
Right.
I have been battling with something similar, and my answer was to create like more a narrative work of art, film, or whatever to play out these things in there. And I think that's how art used to be. I think
Right.
when it wasn't content. And the way
Yeah.
that I'm approaching what I'm doing now is like night and day with developing content. And all we know now
Yeah.
is content. And if you are in any marketing knowledge about anything, it could be your candle making business or music, it's all content. How do I make a content for a people to look at a content? Where
Yeah.
the whole premise of art and movies and books before was to literally play out these narratives, some to understand yourself and others through overcoming these fictional events that reflect non-fictional events, that real life stuff. And
Yes.
maybe I'm reaching here, but this could be the not only the reason why all art and movie sucks, but people are not doing this. They're not finding a type of work that actually allows them to connect and feel through adversity overcoming, going on your own journey. And then it gets heavily distorted in this like pornographic simulation of I'm on a mission.
Yes. Yes. No, I agree 100%. I understood everything that you just said.
Cool. Wow.
uh, yeah, I, I I I think to reiterate what you've said and maybe paraphrase it a little bit, you to me, like when we've had so many hours of conversations privately about this, it's the inability to create naively now without thinking what's the message, who's the following, what will they say on Twitter. If my character that I'm writing here, I don't just have like this intuitive, unconscious sense of a story to tell, and this is the character's revealing herself to me, and in this
Mhm.
moment she's and I as the author, I'm like, oh shit, this is wow, she's doing something even I didn't predict. This is so amazing. I'm inspired. No, now it's like I'll make her say this
Yes.
because then
Yes.
because then it'll be Yas Queen on fucking Instagram, and
It-
we're too aware. We're too plugged in. We're too plugged in.
That's totally it. How do I add this shareable quote with a
Yeah.
visually shareable person doing this shareable thing so people can shareably about it? Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. So
right.
why, I didn't watch it because fuck them. I'm not going to watch it. Apparently, the new Star Trek series created a lot of like a furore. I just watched the reviews on YouTube because I found those interesting amongst Star Trek fans because they had these moments where men in power would do stupid things. We saw that in the recent Star Wars movies, and women would come and save them. Now, you can show that. Of course, that makes an interesting story. Of course, I mean, I could write that, but I could write that bereft of the posturing desire to force a response
Right.
from an audience. I can write it naively. I could write it authentically, and the pushback was, well, you just don't like seeing women in positions of power. You just don't like seeing men's position of authority being threatened. And it's like, no, we just don't like bad writing. Stop politicizing your incompetence. You're just bad at what you do. You're a bad swimmer. You're a bad runner. You're a bad writer. Stop politicizing it to wiggle yourself into a position of superiority you don't fucking deserve. You suck. Just accept that you suck and stop using this bullshit. It's coercion. It's the worst kind of psychopathic bullying
Yeah.
at this point.
One thing that you said earlier that I think should be stated again is you let characters play out. You're
Yeah.
not in control. If you're a good writer, a good artist, you're a good filmmaker or script writer, or just at least competent, you're supposed to approach it. You develop what they're supposed to somewhat be like personality wise, and you let the personalities just let them move. Let them,
Yes. Yes.
when you
Yeah.
start pushing, when like this character has to say this and it
Well,
has
they
to do
become sock
this.
puppets then. They're just
Yes.
a sock puppet.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now I need to say this thing that is going to. It's like, Jesus,
Yeah.
do you think the audience doesn't know? Do you think we don't, as humans, energetically feel the
Yeah.
inauthenticity that we're being lectured to?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think you're right in terms of artistically an audience as well has just lost that intuitive sense of how people naturally play out situations and how people
Yeah.
naturally behave when they're interacting with each other. We've lost ourselves in that sense, in the most direct sense, which is why most people don't know what the hell they're doing.
Yeah. Yeah. I just thought, I know I've mentioned this before, but there's a good movie. It's called Wind River. And Wind River is the story of strong women who resist toxically masculine men in groups. That's one of the key elements of the story. There is no element of this preachy, messaging-y, Twitterish. It's bereft. I challenge anybody to cite me a scene or a line that has this creepy, weird feeling like now we're doing the political thing. It's a story. It's it's hard at times to watch. It's frightening to watch, but it's a really good, fairly low budget, cleanly told film, bereft of story. But yeah, there's bad men in this, and yes, there's legitimately strong women in this movie that resist them, who you, as the audience member, you authentic, and it's not unrealistic. They're not gifted with the magical powers of a uterus. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
because I have a uterus, I'm a really good shot, or because I have a uterus, I can beat men up in hand-to-hand combat. There's none of that. It stays within this reality, and it's just a good story. And I don't feel patronized watching it.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
feel like I'm being lectured to.
You know, it was funny. I revisited that just that like completely average science fiction film with Justin Timberlake, In Time.
Oh,
Do you
did
remember that?
you?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Why?
I was suggested, and it's it's like very mid. Obviously, I personally wouldn't go as like it's complete garbage. Maybe you would. I know you would, right?
I didn't watch it. I watched 10 minutes. If you tell me to try it, I'll try it. It's there on
Okay,
Netflix.
so there's often an argument where, you know, what's that thing when there's an overly like powerful woman for no reason and she just fucking Jane or like Jane Doe? Like what the fuck is the thing?
Mary
Susie,
Sue. Mary Sue.
Mary Sue. Yeah, the Mary Sue trope where it's just like this woman that's just like a fucking badass at everything and just kills
Yeah.
every man without training. Justin
Yes.
Timberlake in that movie is a male Mary Sue.
Okay.
And
Okay.
that's the point I want to bring up because it's not just because it's a woman it's impossible.
No, no, no.
It's because bad writing where the fuck did Justin Timberlake from the ghetto learn to do the James Bond thing? Like this
Right.
dude is supposed to like
Right.
grew up in the ghetto looking like Justin Timberlake and then when it's time, he just knows
No
how to take
broken
down.
nose. No,
Yeah.
no clipped ear. Nothing. Just
Yeah.
beautiful white.
Yeah, just like fucking Aikido takedowns and just every dude and saves the girl, no problem. Like that is a
Right.
male Mary Sue
Yeah.
there, and that is bad writing because you're not you're forcing a character to do something. Like you're not letting the character. Okay, character grows up in the ghetto. What are his capabilities? How would he actually interact in a thing like this? You know?
Yeah. 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 And what skills could he legitimately bring that were justified by his backstory? Not just he can do this because the plot says so. That is so numbing to
Yeah,
watch. People with, like you say, suddenly magical abilities. Somebody points a gun at him and he strips the gun out of his hand and kicks him in the head. Why? Oh, because he's from the ghetto. What? Why would? What the fuck? Surely he would just have PTSD and a drug addiction. Like, why
yeah,
the fuck would
yeah.
being raised poor make him super capable? That's nonsense. Unless he was forced into the military. He was given a choice, military or prison, which some
Right,
states do in America.
right. You know,
Some
have you
backstory.
have you seen
Justify it.
that Tom Cruise movie Edge of Tomorrow?
Yes, yeah, I like it.
It's
Yeah.
actually not bad. I thought it was gonna be a total, like,
No, no, it's
m
good.
mind-numbing, shitty science fiction film, but in that movie, Tom Cruise is a bumbling fucking idiot at the beginning.
Yes.
He has
Yes.
no combat ability and just keeps fucking dying. So,
Yes.
without spoiling too much, he's basically a character that every time he dies, he comes back in the same place. It's like Groundhog's Day meets Starship Troopers, you know?
Yes.
But it shows he
That's a very good film synopsis. Very good
yeah.
film synopsis.
Yeah, yeah, he
Groundhog
wakes
Day
up
meets
over and
Starship
over and
Troopers.
over again and
Yeah.
getting killed by these aliens until he gets good enough. That makes
Yeah.
sense. It's like, yo, he's shitty at combat first. He keeps fucking dying for like, I don't know, a year's worth, and
Yeah.
then he finally figures it out, you know? And he just wasn't born
Yes.
with the skills.
Yeah. And we see him as the audience members, we see him change, we see him grow. And honestly, this is what fucking writers don't understand. That's the story. That point A and point B that get the MacGuffin and save the world, sure, we want the in between, we want the journey. The destination is it's always the same, and interestingly, in that movie, my alien people in that movie, the interdimensional space
Oh,
squids,
yeah, yeah.
leak time. They leak time out of their
Oh, that's
tentacles. That's
right.
why. Yeah, yeah, yeah. They're
Oh,
my
shit.
people, but they're evil.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's right, though. I never realized that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Maybe you unconsciously inspired the script for that. But
yeah,
maybe I'm gonna try to reach again because this is what makes good conversation. Maybe because you hear the narrative these days, You're perfect
Yeah.
just the way you are. You don't need to
Yeah.
change. Embrace everything that you already it's enough, just you only. And this like
Yeah.
allergy to transformation and to evolving, to becoming a different person through adversity. All of these
Yeah.
principles are not so mainstream nowadays. And maybe this
Yeah.
is exactly the thing that's leaking into the terrible movies and books and films because you have to succumb to the audience expectation, which they don't want to be told I'm not enough. They don't want to
Yeah.
be told I have to go through a bunch of shit to actually become a better, more competent person. I want to be just seen just through my ideology. That's all I need. And this thing has to, so this is the backwards. Before you transform, become a better person. Now it's what about exactly the thing I'm born with that the whole world eventually learns to appreciate about me,
Oh
and
my
I don't
God.
change at all,
So a narcissistic wank fantasy, basically.
right? I mean, I feel like that's how it's fucking written now, right? The
Yeah.
world does
Yeah.
not
Yeah. Yeah.
change the protagonist. The whole world
Yeah.
has to change for the protagonist.
Right, right, right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Everything should change to match my pre-given gifts, talents, skill sets. So even if they were meaningless. So if I'm in a world, you know what? It's not just a narcissistic fantasy. That's a fragile narcissist fantasy. That's a basement dwelling potential mass shooter fantasy. I'm wonderful, but the world doesn't agree with me. So I'm going to imagine a world in which the world does agree with me and that
Yeah.
I'm wonderful and I'm elevated through they come to see the truth. The truth is, I was always wonderful. They were just blind before. Now the scales have been removed from their eyes and they see me as the Messiah I truly
Yeah. I mean, now that I think about it, I mean, almost every modern movie, TV show is based on a similar premise of that. There is no character
Yeah,
evolution. It's more so the world evolves to try to fit what the character already is.
that's very interesting. And I wonder, so in the 80s, it was like something a meme that you could mock, which was the montage, the training montage. In the
Yeah, yeah.
80s,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
every action movie had a training montage where over 4 weeks of training to some middle of the road rock song in the background, carrying bags of gravel and sprinting up a hill and hitting a Makawara over and over again, you would develop these superpowers. But I wonder how a modern audience would respond to that. I actually think it's intrinsic to human psychology. And let me be a conspiracy theorist. It inspires people. Movies like that genuinely inspired people. I know
Mhm.
that they did because in the martial arts community, in my generation, when you spoke to any martial arts instructor or coach and said, who motivated you first? 99% of the time, they would say Bruce Lee.
Mhm,
Bruce
mhm,
Lee was an actor. Bruce
mm,
Lee was not a fighter. He was an actor. He looked great, he sounded great, and he understood the power of the visual medium.
mm,
And he made not great movies, but one great movie, a martial arts classic, which is his Enter the Dragon. And that inspired generations, millions of men across the and women started training, inspired by a guy pretending to do things that he couldn't do. There's a power to that. There's a real power to showing people grow and develop. And maybe we're being subtly propagandized here. It's like maybe the underlying message is you've either got it or you haven't. This girl has it. That's it. This
yeah,
guy has it. That's it. You could never have it. You couldn't train hard enough to be Batman. You
yeah.
couldn't, I don't know, train hard enough to be Xena Warrior Princess. That's not on the cards, kind of a thing.
Right, right. Yeah, it's either you can't have it or you already are.
Yeah, you just
You
are.
already you just are. Everything's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which in a way is its own disempowering message, isn't it?
Yes,
Because you're
that's
saying to
right, because
people,
right, it does not empower you just by
yeah,
thinking that you are.
yeah. So fall into illusion, be a child, just dream that you are, don't work. Don't work. Don't put in the graft, don't put in the labor, don't spend the time working on your skills. Just be that thing. Back to Wind River for a second. There's a heroic male character played by Jeremy Renner. Really, really well. Does a great job of this understated character. But we see in a granular way why he's a hero. why he can do the heroic thing at the end of the film. This is a guy who lives on his own. He's a survivalist. He makes his own bullets. He sits at home putting the grain in the guns and fashioning his own bullets. I love that. I hate seeing in films guns that are magic, guns
Mm.
that just fire. People can just shoot straight, and they. I want to know why. Tell me granular. Like, why can this person do this thing? Unless I'm watching John Wick,
Yeah,
and it's
right.
kind of just funny. It's a pornography of gunplay. Okay, fine, fine. Then I'm with you, director. Take me on this the silly John Woo ballet of violence. That's totally fine. But if it's a serious movie, I want to know why. I don't want you to be an amazing accountant without you telling me why. I don't want you to be a computer hacker without telling me why. I don't want you to have the skills that I don't know how you fucking got them, other than that some stupid line like, "Oh, he grew up in the ghetto." It's so dumb.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. And I think that this is a reflection of a few things. It's the same thing that we have already said of being like you're just fine the way you are, you don't need to change. But
Right.
also, it's not only painful to watch, it takes too long.
Yeah.
It takes too long to develop character in real life and in a movie in any medium.
Yes.
So
Yes.
you you
It's a
you
yeah.
you're catering to this narrative of not only is it painful and hard, you're just perfect the way you are, but also
Yeah.
I don't got the fucking time for this because I have to just be me.
Yes. Yeah, I hear you. It's one of the major weaknesses of modern film is actually what do they call that? Establishing character. It's either not done or it's done in such a hokey, played out, boring way. I'm trying to think of example. Like one example is the Michael Bay style movie with a cop, and it's Michael Bay style, and it's set in LA. And we're going to be introduced to the cop. We're going to be introduced to the cop when he wakes up, and then he kisses his wife, and they have a little cuddle, and then the kid comes in and stops them from having sex. Cut scene, they're having breakfast. It's a sunny day in LA. He kisses his wife, gets in the car, and goes to work. If I never see that again in the cinema, as long as I fucking live, I'll be a die happy man. I'm like, find your own way of establishing a character. There's probably hundreds of these that everybody uses to establish like this is a good guy. He does a tough job, but he has a heart of gold. But I'm like, please, just okay, give me that message, but be smart, be creative, find a new way to show me who this person is so I can invest in this journey. When you're, if you're rough and rude with my consciousness and cheap, I don't want to invest. I don't want to emotionally invest in this because you didn't seduce me properly. Give me my foreplay, God damn it.
Yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure. Yeah,
Do you know what I'm talking about with that dumb scene where they wake up in bed and they say stupid shit to each other and then the kid comes in? Have you ever got onto that?
I mean, I've no now that you say it, there's quite a bit of that. Yeah.
Fucking hundreds,
Yeah, that's
hundreds,
right.
and they it's super close up, and they're being
Yes.
cute, and then they get frisky, and she's like, "Baby, no, I have to go to work," and then the kid comes in and goes,
Yes.
"Daddy, Daddy, I drew a dinosaur," and he's like, he's not even angry that he didn't get to have sex. He's like, "Hey, baby, show me your fucking dinosaur."
That's true. It's
I
like how
never
to
want to see that ever again.
yeah, how to humanize a couple in
Right?
like every time is like they eat breakfast. Like so much
Yeah,
fucking breakfast. So much fucking
so much,
breakfast scenes. Like
so
why?
much. But he doesn't eat. He doesn't eat. He has no time. Baby,
Yeah.
sit down and eat. No, I'm late for work. I gotta meet. I gotta meet Pierre. My partner. He's from the hood, Pierre, and he's outside. And so I just have a piece of
And
toast in my
then
mouth, and that.
and then the wife dies in a car driving accident.
Of course, of course.
And
You
then
never see her.
yeah,
She's just there to be sad about,
and then the
and to
flashback
give the main
ends.
guy.
The
Yeah,
flashback ends and the kid is now grown, looks at a
right.
latex superhero outfit, and it's just
Yeah. He has the crumpled up drawing
you
of the
know,
dinosaur in his pocket, stained in tears
you
and
know,
whiskey.
and maybe what if this lack of like hero's journey thing is also because of like they're trying to do something new. and it's just not working because this cliche of training montage and this like trope of the parents and the kid growing up got so played out that they're like, maybe a powerful woman world doesn't accept her until she shows them. Maybe let's try that.
Let's do that because the target audience that we have for Star Trek, which is neckbeard men, was going to really fucking enjoy that.
Yeah,
Neckbeard men who are known for getting furious online, they're going to love that.
yeah. I thought about that. I'm like, I can't imagine one day ever going on a date and then the girl's favorite movie, she says, is I really like Enter the Dragon with Anne Hathaway. It's
Oh,
like, is this really a big enough demographic of people that would watch a reboot of like some
yeah,
old 70s martial arts film or some action flick with a female lead? Like,
yeah,
how big is this demographic? And show me the people that actually prefer it, please.
yeah. Yeah. Can I just look at the research you did that before you made this creative decision? I
Like, who
really
even
don't
thinks
like Anne Hathaway. I really, really, really can't stand her. She's so boring. I don't know how she gets roles. Jared Leto, terrible. He just
Yeah.
made a movie called Mobius. Have you seen it?
Have you?
I sh- I have shit more interesting movies out of my asshole than Morbius. What
You
a load
actually
of
watched
garbage
it?
that. Yeah, it's terrible.
Really? I heard he's
Oh
been on
fuck.
the pop culture circuits because he was method acting. Apparently, at a certain point, he was like so committed to being in a like wheelchair or like some sort of like a disability that he needed to be like
Wheelchair. Yeah.
carried to the bathroom or something.
I don't know if I believe these stories, man. Do you think it's true?
He's fucking crazy. Like,
Well, he can't act. That's for sure. He cannot
dude,
fucking
apparently
act.
he was like sending cast members dead pigs when he played that shitty Joker.
Oh, the worst Joker. The worst Joker of all
Yeah.
time. It's Morbius is a terrible film. Pointless. Nobody should have made that movie. Dreadful, dreadful, dreadful. Nothing good to be said about that film. But I don't know how
Yeah.
Jared Leto keeps getting work. He must have killed so many kids and harvested their adrenochrome to still be getting
You would
work in.
But you would think that would make you just like the most masterful actor that's ever lived. If you're going that far to drink baby blood, like Jesus, have something like show for it.
He's got a really pretty face. Like for 50, I think he just rubs the adrenochrome and the wrinkles around his eyes. I mean, he looks amazing for 50, but it didn't get into the part of his brain that controls acting because he stinks. He fucking
Yeah.
sucks balls. He's terrible.
There I remember seeing him in something that was fairly okay. It was like Fight Club maybe, but I didn't even realize it was him.
Yeah. No,
Oh,
he was good in
wait.
Fight
He
Club.
was in
He
a
he had
Requiem
the
for a Dream, no?
I don't think I've seen that movie. I
Was
haven't
he?
seen
You
that.
haven't seen Requiem?
No, is it good?
Dude, it's so I know you like films that literally feel like someone's like fucking stabbing you in the intestine. That that movie, it really stabs you through the intestine. And I'm not just saying this through my own naive taste of like Fifth Element and shit. Like that movie is genuinely really done well.
Okay, I'll watch it. I'll watch it.
It's a nightmarish film, dude. You'll like it.
Okay. And it's Jared Leto was the beautiful one in Fight Club who gets the shit beaten out of him. He's got blonde hair in that.
Yeah, you got smashed, bro. But yeah,
Smashed.
I mean, I think in general, people aren't really into um good writing in films in general, unless it's like Euphoria or something. Most people just talk about what they see on social media platforms, really.
Well, to bring it back to the overall theme that we're talking about, I think what we've done is we've moved away from authenticity. And the more we all live as inauthentic avatars of people, the less authenticity there is to harvest. There's nothing
Mhm.
to mine. There's no harvesting there. There's nothing to mine there because if you're not living as an authentic life, what stories do you have? Like, what do you have inside of you? I really don't think you can, when it comes to creative writing, that you can train creative writing into somebody. It's if it you can mold it, you can clear it up, you can polish it, but I think you've either got that inside of you or you haven't. And if you're living inauthentically, you've got no good writing inside of you. I don't think.
Yeah, it's you have to have at least some personal experience. You know, you can teach people all the tools. I told you actually over a voice message. I'm like, I'm looking at all these like equipment testing videos on camera reviews and film and cinematography techniques and shit. And they show, so here's the example that we ended up filming. And it's like a fucking stock footage commercial. It's like
Yeah.
you have this like kicker light that's the size of fucking 3 Cardi B booties here. You know, you got this, you got like another LED panel and then another screen, and then you have like a camera on a fucking dolly just to make it all look like just stock footage. And the
Yes.
short little narrative that you do with the short film that you show at the end is just like, what was all of that equipment for? You know?
So that there's another thing actually then. It's not just a lack of authenticity, it's a lack of courage. And one of the things that you can hide behind if you're not courageous is doing what everybody else is doing. You can't, it's very hard to, like, if I made a movie that's just like the other three movies over there and you come for me, I'll be like, well, what about it's the same as what they did? How bad can I be? So a lack of courage as well. These stories are not, they're typically not being courageously written. We're not really going anywhere new. Uh, it, for the writers who are either millennial or trapped in a millennial mindset, instead of authenticity and courage, they do deliver of politically correct messages and or subverting audience expectations. I loathe it. I loathe it when you in a really shallow, stupid way subvert my expectations. I'm never sat there going, oh my God, the genius of the story I'm in. I'm just like, I see what you're doing. It's like a shitty magic trick being performed by an 8-year-old with sweaty hands. This is garbage. Right from the heart. Tell me a story. Grip me with something. Grip me with something. And that it's so sad to see that just being completely lost. Completely fucking
Yeah.
lost.
And when everything has lost its authenticity, you really don't have anything to reflect. You know, if you grew up in a very inauthentic time and you absorb all that and you live a very inauthentic life, the thing that you're going to make is just inauthentic. There's no
100%.
resemblance of truth at all here.
Yeah, yeah. I think I mean the way you just phrased it makes it sound like a technical impossibility. Where are they supposed to get their authenticity or their courage from? Like we're asking the impossible. It's just it's not going to happen. It can't be done. It cannot be done.
Yeah, and then even if you look at a lower level of it, which is like YouTube video creation, um yeah, just like more DIY punk rock approach to like people that make vlogs and like content and shit. It's not showing what they want to make from the heart. It's it's the projection that they want to be and what other people want them to be.
Right, right. Yes, we're trying to manipulate each other's perceptions because that's what social media has basically entrained our brains to do. But the good thing about this is it reveals people. I
Mm,
like this.
mm.
I like you can't hide. You can't hide. If you're the people who make movies like that and the people who applaud movies like that, I'm like, okay, I see you. I got you. I got you now. I now know where we're at. I can see the pieces on the chessboard because sometimes it's misty and it's foggy and it's unclear, and then stuff like that comes out, and I go, okay, thank you. I appreciate the chance to see where people are coming from because of exactly the problems that you're listing. You can't fake that. It's just not possible.
Yeah. Yeah, and then it leads into a whole other thing of like the collective taste shifting because of people and how they already have been indoctrinated to be, and then that becomes the battle.
Well, 100%. And I actually was going to ask you this. I think I've asked you it a couple of times before. Have you are you have you noticed your consumption of content on YouTube and with films? Have you noticed it changing in the last couple of months?
Oh, it's like you can't go past 180 because it would go to 360, which is back where you started. But yeah, it's been 180.
You'd have to break the laws of physics to turn around as much as you've turned around on this one, basically.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
which is the same for me. I'm like, wow, stuff that I used to consume like with gusto just 4 or 5 months ago, I cannot tolerate more than
Me
30
neither.
seconds of now.
Me neither, man. I just hear a certain delivery style or a word being used, and I am out.
So, so what I'm wondering is if there's a little bit of a crisis with platforms like Netflix, which have to become sausage factories because it's a subscription based business model, and YouTube is as well, and to the extent that their money comes from advertising revenue, they just need content. They
Hmm.
don't need it to be good. I wonder if we're going to hit a creation crisis. Again, something that Nietzsche and Jung would never have been able to foresee is that humanity literally runs out of ideas. We've mined every single fucking idea, and we can't create anything else because there's none left. They're all gone.
Yeah, well, it's already happened because everything's flattened, you know? So
Yeah,
just the sheer availability and the potential of everyone being able to make something, and then platforms that take pretty much anything that and put it out, it's just like the great flattening, you know? At a certain point, everything becomes the same. Did something happen to your mic? What happened? Oh, okay. He everything becomes flattened. Now you can see my dirty ass fucking studio, guys. So this is where I shoot all my short films that I've been working on. It's literally in this tiny room. What's up, dude? What happened? I can't hear.
I'm so sorry. My sister called me and it switched me off.
Okay, okay. All right. So anyways, so the great flattening of everything. And I think it's like not so much that we've run out of ideas, but all of the ideas are so much of them and most of them are mediocre and average because the average is the majority, right? So you're
Right.
flooding the the landscape with complete mediocrity, just all averageness. So anything that's slightly kind of good or whatever, it can't compete with the saturation.
Yeah, that's true. I think yeah, it's a point that I would struggle to make verbally. You kind of need visual aids for it, like a graph or something to be like, okay, do
Yeah.
we understand that the statistically the mean or the average person is thinking at this level, and so the amount of content that's coming out is is collecting around the average, and it's pretty fucking mediocre because the average person is thinking in a pretty fucking mediocre way.
Yes, because if you looked at it before, the the standard of entertainment back then was
Right.
always unreachable.
Yeah.
Always. It was always a crazy ass film with like practical effects, the CGI, or some Harry Potter like book or anything before that, or anything that was just like, wow, my neighbor could have not made this shit. There's no
Yeah.
fucking way.
Yeah.
Now you watch your neighbors only. It's like I
Yeah.
only want to watch anybody who has the same capabilities as me or less
What is that impulse? Why do people want to watch that shit?
because it's relatable. That
Fuck.
relatability is fucking king now.
I fucking loathe relatable. I want aspirational. You
Right.
fucking low aspiration having fuckers. Stop liking stuff that's relatable and that makes you comfortable. Fuck.
But that is the average person and watching average people. And average wouldn't be average if it was just a small group, right? Average literally means the majority there. So at that point, you just have a bunch of average people jerking off average people. That's it.
It's a great concept for a porno site. Just average people just jerking off average people.
I mean, even and they're more
Folks.
amateurs more popular than ever these days.
Yeah, yeah. My stuff is doing really well on Pornhub.
Yeah, exactly.
Really well.
But
Yeah.
you ain't average,
Yeah.
bro. Come on.
Oh, thank you, baby. Thank
Yes.
you.
You got to really sell yourself, dude.
I really do. All 4 inches of me.
That's a that's a niche.
That's a niche. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a niche.
Tiny peepee Viking porn. That's my name on
Good
Pornhub.
lord.
Don't look for that. It's not real, you
Ew.
fucking idiots.
For one of 4chan's rules is if it exists, there's a porn of it.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Somebody somewhere is
Yeah.
beating off over
Oh
tiny
wait,
peepee
I said that
Viking porn.
wrong. If you can think of it, there's a porn of it,
There's
basically.
a porn of it somewhere.
Yeah.
Oh my days, fam.
Yeah.
Oh my days.
Yeah, man. And yeah, like I don't I don't know what dictates something like Squid Game coming out every once in a while, something that really is aspirational, crazy, original, weird, different. I don't it's just like luck of the draw if anything, but majority of the time it's just relatability and averageness.
That guy said he pumped it out in 6 months. Like he wrote it in 6 months. But I don't know the guy, and I would be amazed if it's his first rodeo. I'd be amazed. I
Well,
can believe that it was
really?
written quickly, but
Maybe because I know that he was trying to get a studio to make it for like 8 years or some crazy shit.
oh really?
Yeah, that's what I read.
Oh okay. Okay, maybe the 6 months thing is maybe he meant like the finished maybe he meant finishing it for Netflix was 6 months, in which
Yeah,
case,
maybe.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, I would think a lot of that is down to experience and it's sometimes it's the absence of things. I look at like creatively, like what's going on as far as music and hip hop goes on, and I think it's the lack of editing. It's the lack of ideologically enforced editing that can save people. It's not like you have to reach for some diamond sutra level of consciousness before you can be creative. Just go from the gut, just go from the heart, and don't fucking stop thinking about what will be popular. Stop thinking about what's going to sell really well or do really well. Just do the thing that is there, and be willing to be brave and to be vulnerable and just do it the way you want to do it. I think that's why rap is still bearable, or some of it is still bearable.
Yeah, there's still elements of authenticity, whether how corrupt that authenticity might be. There's still a
Yeah,
fearlessness in putting it out there in that way. But yeah, everything else is very audience conscious, and it really is poisoning everything.
yeah, definitely, definitely. Should we take some questions from these good people?
Yes, I'm hungry as fuck.
It's when you talk to me, you use your brain at another level, and it makes you hungry for
Bro,
dick.
dude,
Cups,
every
dick
time
cups.
we end these conversations, especially when you're in Prague, bro, it's like let's go eat for like 3 hours. I'm hungry as fuck every
Your
time.
brain, your brain burns more calories than any other organ in your body.
God damn, son. That's
Got to
crazy.
think.
Okay, questions, y'all. What you
Question.
got? Have any idea of your grand return, red carpet return to Praha?
So my sister just messaged me. She's coming over from California with the babies. I am a chauffeur nanny for 2 weeks. I'm going to drive them all around the United Kingdom, north and south, and to Wales. And then she leaves, and then I'm planning on coming to Prague then, which will be right in the beginning of May,
Cool.
for a week. It'll be
Nice.
nice to get back over there.
Nice. I hope I don't
And
end
I
up
see, I see
dying.
you've got pretty nice weather right now. I was looking at the weather
Oh, it's
map today. It
great.
looks good.
I was like, I'm gonna go film this YouTube promotional thing right next to the castle. Fuck it. I'm going home. I literally went home after an hour.
What happens? Do you just acclimatize as the season goes on, or do you take drugs? What do you do?
Maybe I do. I start taking Claritin around this time to just like get used to it, and I think after a certain time in the summer, everything's fine.
Okay.
So maybe that's what happens. I'm not sure. Do you guys have your points prepared and you follow them? The conversation flows so perfectly. Dude, we barely even schedule when we're gonna do it.
We have like 2 Telegram messages. Bear's like, "Yo, TC today," and I'll send back smiley face. Sure. And then I send to him, I sent you an email. Okay.
Yeah.
And then we meet.
Yeah.
So when
No,
we come on live here, that's us coming on live.
yeah, we literally don't plan out anything, and I think you and I are the type that function better without it. I see you're
Definitely.
other like two kinds of people. Like you're really, really good at choreography, script writing, and following, rules and presentation, or you're really good at improvising and you can't follow scripts and stuff. I cannot
Definitely.
follow a script for my life.
Definitely. Yeah, I prefer it. I prefer it like this. I think I'm better like this.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Better on the spot. Just on the spot.
Pierre, how long could you bear staying in the U.S. if you were to visit home? Dude, this time, man, I don't know. Might be dead, bro. Might be dead, dude. Like I don't know what I would be doing. Like what the fuck? Like no clue.
I'm gonna try to go to the US this year to promote the book when it's out. I'm gonna do some cities in
You can
the
do a
US.
do a book tour maybe or
Miami, Las Vegas, Los Angeles, New York, I think.
all
Just the
the
cities I like.
all the player spots, huh? God damn.
I'm gonna rent a Rari in every one,
Jesus Christ, get your
and
private
then
jet.
post it on Instagram. This is all
Hell yeah.
about overcoming codependency by being extraordinarily wealthy.
Dude, okay, so for me there's a projection of what I can do really well, which is
Yeah,
like edgy K-pop star that I would
yeah,
loathe. You could totally play off like private jet influencer, like luxury life motivational dude so well.
yeah. I could do all that red pill, how to be an alpha talk as well at the same time.
Yeah, well, that would come hand in hand with that.
Make money like a real man, like be
Yeah.
an alpha. Rest your dong on your business, dong.
Yes, exactly. Any other questions, Brent?
If you come to Atlanta, I'll be there. I won't be coming to Atlanta. I'll be coming to the cities I just said. If I could travel across the fucking ocean, you can fly your ass to Vegas. It's cheap. Everywhere is cheap to Vegas.
Can you tell the difference between a narcissist and a really hurt, damaged person? Difference.
Um, yeah, but it would take probably more than a few interactions, I would suspect. You've got to be looking for the 9 traits of narcissism as defined by the DSM. So over a period of weeks, I think you'll be able to detect it. Yeah. This is my own piss, by the way.
Is that going to be the new diet? Oh, so you stop drinking caffeine to start drinking your pee.
Yeah. Pee is better than caffeine.
Pee pee.
Pee, pee.
Urine therapy.
You're in therapy for urine therapy.
Have you
Of
heard Riff Raff the rapper? If
course
you
we
look
have.
if you look up tiptoeing in my Jordans, I am there for zero point 0.7 seconds.
Pierre knows Riff Raff.
Yes, I was
And
in
he
his
knows
music.
Three Loco.
I was I was in his music video for half a second with blue hair and overalls. See if you can spot it.
Don't you know the other guy from Three Loco as well? Dirt Nasty. Didn't
Dirt
you meet him
Nasty.
before?
Yeah, I think no is an overstatement, but I met them
Okay.
all at that shoot. Yeah. But there's like a lot of drama between all of them. I think Riff Raff got too big and he kind of like left them or something. Or maybe their egos
Yeah,
were just
yeah. There was a lot of abandonment anxiety flying around. I loved Three Loco. They were fucking great. We Are Farmers was a classic track.
shit was funny. Yeah, how is that coffee challenge going?
On Saturday just gone, I I woke up on Friday. So obviously I'm working until 4 o'clock in the morning. Woke up on Friday, It was a sunny day and I felt good, even though I'd not slept properly. So I went to the gym, did hard cardio and hard lifting for about 2 hours. Got Saturday night in work at 11 o'clock. I was in agony. I was in so much pain in my body that I drank a can of Red Bull. So I drank a can of Red Bull and I felt like I'd taken drugs. You know, when you take something and
Oh
you
yeah, yeah.
feel like you took too much. My hands went cold and sweaty. My palm was like my palms were sweaty. Mum's spaghetti.
Mom
It was
spaghetti.
it was horrible. It was, and I was really freaked out. I was like, I wish I just stayed tired and in pain. But apart from that, yeah, I've been caffeine free for something like 15 days, apart from that one break, and it's okay. Generally speaking, it's okay. Today I was unusually tired, but generally speaking, yeah, I think my body's pretty much acclimatized to it now. It's better. Life
Do
is
you?
better.
Yeah. Do you like that? Are you better?
Yeah, yeah. I have the type of personality that really doesn't need caffeine on top of it.
Okay. Okay. I love it, bruh. Wired all the time, bruh. All addictions, all the time, bruh.
All addictions.
Uh huh. Bro, no matter what I do, it'll always be this. Bro, I've
Why
been
Pierre dress like woman?
bro, I purposely wore like way less makeup and my hair is shorter on my recent videos, and I still get like, "You still look like a girl," and I'm like, bro, at this point, it's just my features. There's nothing else I could possibly do.
Almada warrior, we all know that you're struggling with the difficult and confusing feelings that Pierre is inspiring inside of you, but you don't have to tell us publicly. You can just
Yeah,
jerk
it's
off.
it's actually even worse for you now because I don't have long hair and I don't have
Yeah.
exuberant eyeshadow.
Before
So
they
I
could be like, oh, he looked like a girl. That's why he inspired this feeling. Now you look
yeah,
less like a girl. They're like, wait, what is happening? Maybe I am make of different sexuality now.
yes,
Just
now so
embrace
basically
it.
yes. Now you gayer.
Are you okay?
Now you gayer.
God is good. When you're aroused, this is good. It's life force. It doesn't matter who motivates it. It could be a fire hydrant. Just embrace that.
Did you ever get on that pre-workout when you were or I guess you've always been working out, but like did you ever fuck with it?
Pre-workout, yeah, I love well, I used to love taking pre-workout, yeah. I don't know anymore how I don't know if I would ever go back to using it again because I'm not sure what benefits you're really getting. Most like muscle growth and fitness development is pretty much slow grind over time. So if you do a really, really hard workout, I think you just compensate by moving less the next day, and for the next couple of days, you're just
Oh
flopping
yeah.
around, going, "Oh, I'm in pain." But yeah, I use pre-workout. Pretty cool.
Pre-workout. Yeah, that shit makes me itchy, so then I have to work out, you know?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's one benefit of it. If you're feeling lazy, it will force you to.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. More questions? Anybody?
So one here that says, "Have you ever been to Salem, Massachusetts?" No, but I played John Proctor in The Crucible.
Did
I've heard the boots of Lucifer. I've seen his filthy face stand forth, etc.
book promotion and
In the EU, in Germany, no. Europe doesn't matter. The only place that matters is America, because I have a foreign accent there.
Mhm. What do you guys think about the abundance of information causing the chaos we see today, the unprocessed and unfiltered regurgitating itself into reality? That's kind of like the topic we always kind of talk about here, no?
Yeah. Um, Yeah, my recurrent theme of what I'm thinking about when I'm thinking, which I'm not thinking all the time, is everything seems to be splintering into greater and greater degrees of complexity, and that this is not a sustainable model. Which, interestingly, is the early theme of the book I'm reading at the moment, which is Foundation by Asimov. That the fracturing and increase of complexity and everything, which is development, so the civilization developing kind of has its own collapse written into the source code because things can't just become more and more complex along an infinite spectrum. There has to be a collapse point.
or it just keeps getting crazier and crazier and crazier, like a dream where it
It
doesn't
just keeps
collapse.
getting weirder.
Yeah, it just gets fucking, how do you say, ununderstandable.
Ununderstandable. Thank you, bruh. Bruh, this is ununderstandable, bruh.
Reality gets so complex that everything gets ununderstandable.
I nearly died of ununderstandableness, bruh.
I mean, would we rather go back to no information? Yes. Honestly, at this fucking point,
Yeah,
honestly, how
yeah.
has this information been helping us in any way at this
Poison.
level? Like,
It's poison. We're ingesting poison. Stop. Stop.
man,
Yo, we just got that crazy here.
what was your favorite movie as a kid?
Bugsy Malone.
I can tell you my band. It was Linkin Park.
You didn't have a favorite movie as a small child?
Not one that I can just like immediately one comes to mind. I was more of a music person. I've always been more of a music person than a movie person.
Bugsy Malone is a musical, and it has the greatest track written for any musical, which is Bad Guys. It's like my favorite track. It's
Yeah.
almost rap. It's beautiful.
I don't know if this counts as a favorite movie, but when I was younger and I was being babysat, we only had the Power Rangers VHS. So I would watch this Power Rangers VHS, and one scene would always come up that sticks with me to this day. And it's the scene where everybody starts drinking lean because the purple monster, the purple fascist. Do you know this shit? This fucking like this villain was like this purple goo guy, and he would like sell purple goo to like the neighborhood, and everybody would start like like dripping purple slime out their mouths, and they would collapse like it was like lean or something.
He was selling lean in the hood.
Yeah, yeah. And I just remember this scene of like this weird goblin guy selling purple goo. Oh, bro, that was my favorite movie when I was like 6.
Okay.
That really cheesy 90s Mortal Kombat movie, man. God, it's awful to watch now, but like when I was 6, that was the most badass shit I've ever seen in my life.
Loved it. We loved it. What is wrong with people, man? Have you ever, well, been to Salem, Massachusetts? Considered your destiny?
Is this like an inside joke or something? Because it's kind of
I have
funny.
no idea. I don't know what Salem, Massachusetts. Like,
Why are there
no,
so
I've not
many
been.
frogs?
Yes,
So much frog.
frog. Can we, when we finish, can we have the bitch I'm a frog song?
I would have to find it, which I don't know if I can right now.
Come out.
I don't remember how it goes, and I don't know what the title of the
It's
thing
it's
is.
called it's called Crazy Lally.
Do you really
Can I
want me to
write the
look this right now?
Everybody loves the frog.
Oh,
Crazy. I think it's Crazy Lally comedy. Something like that. Crazy. I'll put it in the chat. Tentacle questions in the chat. Crazy Lally comedy.
how do you remember that?
Because I love that track.
It's not here, bro.
Bitch, I'm a frog.
Sorry to disappoint you. When you type it in, nothing pops up. You just have to do it a cappella, Richard.
Find it, chat people. It's called Lally comedy something. Someone can
It's
find
like
it. I'm a
funny,
frog.
copyright free, bro.
Richard, try crying Peterson. What does Peterson usually cry about?
Men.
Well, these young men, they don't even have a father figure, and they get it's really so sad to see. I can't go as when he cries, it goes higher. It's so sad. They just get no support. I can't go. Like that's closing my throat.
Hey, do him crying over the wrong order at a cafe.
Well, I asked you for that without beans, and I really feel like you just didn't hear me. I tried to do the break in his voice. I can't do it. Why don't you listen?
You did it.
Face
You
your
actually did it.
responsibility. Huh?
You did it. You did the voice break.
Oh, I did it. Good. Bitch, I'm Tony Montana. I'm from Cuba, yeah? Gonna sell you some yayo, bitch.
How are you not comedian? Provide therapy.
That would be a weird combination. I'd want to make dick jokes and then be like, yes, and now tell me about your childhood trauma and the worst thing that ever happened to you.
Dude, anything's possible now. Everyone's everything all the time. No.
Everyone's everything all the time. I'd be
Yeah.
a comedian, therapist, gynecologist. That would be me. Oh,
Mhm.
Cyrus Leland says lazy dally comedy. Not crazy, but lazy dally. Thank you, Cyrus.
Oh my god, I
Richard
hate.
doesn't mean JP. Oh, baby.
I don't even remember how this song goes. Yee, yee, ooh, yee, yee. Dude, Richard did me dirty. He literally fucking leaves for me to solo the song. Bro, are you kidding me? What a fucking, are you kidding? You literally wanted me to solo the song, Richie.
No, I got another phone call. I'm so sorry.
I was like,
I
I
was
was
getting
about to
into it.
go. I was about to go, and you're like, he's gonna do this on his own. See ya.
See you, bitch.
I was like, oh Jesus. All right, go ahead, Richard.
Oh.
Yee, yee, ooh, yee, yee, yee. Bitch, I'm a
Bitch,
frog.
I'm a frog.
That was like an ad lib.
Go clean up your room, you dirty little frog.
That's a great beat, bro. I love
I
it.
love it. I love it. That should be the theme for Tentacle Croissant. Everybody loves that.
Yeah, that should be the opening theme to these podcasts, man.
Somebody said, "Bitch, I'm a frog." Is the meaning of that is the meaning of men's lives is gone. Shit.
That's the
God
next
damn.
bars.
Bitch, I'm a frog. I lost all my meaning. Oh.
Bitch, I'm a frog. I lost all my Bitch, I'm a frog. I lost all my meaning.
Oh, here I go. Bitch, I'm a frog. Dee-dee-dee-dee. I'm supposed to clean up my room. I merely masturbated. La 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 la. I'm fucking useless now.
I lost all my meaning. I mean, what a jump. Bitch, I'm a frog. I lost all my meaning.
That's what men are. We're just frogs now. We don't have a purpose. Nobody cares.
I lost all my meaning. I'm so happy about it too.
Cheerfully losing one's meaning.
Oh, that's funny as hell, dude. I'm starving, bro. These podcasts
You
are
are
taxing.
You are alleviated of all your duties. You have executed them to the fullest degree. Oh, one more film recommendation. I watched it last night. I was expecting nothing. It's called The Siege of Jadotville. That's a good little war movie. Nice and tight, stays on its purpose.
If I
It's
were
good.
to
It's
watch
good.
anything tonight, what would it be?
Siege of Jadotville. You're gonna like that. It's good.
Okay.
I'm gonna do Requiem for a Dream and give my review of it next week.
Bro,
Jared Leto's in it.
I promise you, dude, this is like within your territory and it's fucking hardcore. It's a pretty hardcore film, man.
Yeah. Okay.
All
Time for
right,
me to
so
put
okay,
on some
hold
hip
on.
hop.
We're gonna discuss this online. How often are we doing this now? Because now you got a schedule. I sort of got a schedule. Like, what's going on? We doing this
Let's
once
do it.
every other week, or
Let's do it. Let's do it once every other week, unless
okay,
I'm in Prague.
okay.
In which case, bitch, I'm a frog in the Prague, and then we just do three in a week.
Wait, yeah, I was gonna say, wait, if you're in Prague, you
Yeah.
can't do once a week because you'd only be here for a week.
No, we'll do multiple ones when I'm in Prague. We'll do multiple. We'll go to the studio and shoot something,
Okay,
and we
okay,
should do a live one from Thomas's studio in Zhiskov.
okay, okay,
And we'll do a couple from your house as well. Maybe like not just a general tentacle question. We'll pick a specific topic and we'll just go deep on one topic for an hour, like a
okay,
shorter tentacle question.
okay. So, so next week we ain't. The week after we are.
The week after, and I'll see if I can get my nephews in as well. They'll come on the stream with me as well.
Are they gonna do the frog song?
They would flip it. My nephews would go crazy for the frog song. They would flip and love that, especially if I did a Jordan Peterson voice.
I
They would go.
lost
They would go.
all my meaning.
Uncle Richie lost all his meaning. They would love that. They would think that was hilarious.
Yay!
You've got no meaning. Yay. Uncle Richard's got no meaning.
That would be so funny to do because the kids wouldn't understand it, but they hear the tune of it, you
Yeah.
know?
We're like, hey.
Oh, that's funny as hell. All right, man. All
Cool.
right. Okay.
You go eat some food. I'll sign us off. Ladies and gentlemen, and everybody in between and beyond, thank you so much for your time and your attention. And we look forward to speaking to you again in 2 weeks' time. Stay froggy, bitches. Mm. Uh, uh.